Hi, hello, good morning, everyone. First of all, thank you for being here. I truly appreciate your time because today's session is not just another webinar. This session is about something that is already changing your future, whether you realize it or not. This topic is AI skills for students, smart, studying smarter, and building the faster and get ahead. Now, before we go ahead, I want you to pause for a moment and honestly ask yourself one question. Am I actually ready for the future that is coming? Not the future we imagine, but the future that is already happening around us. Because today we are not just talking about AI as a technology, we are talking about how you study every day, how you complete the assignments, how you prepare for the exams, and how you build projects, and ultimately, how you get your first job. All of this is being transformed. And the most important thing is this change is happening very, very fast. So fast that many students don't even realize they are falling behind. But the good news is, if you understand what I am going to show you today, you can completely change your direction starting right now. So stay focused, stay with me till the end of this video because this might be one of the most important sessions for your career. Let me start with something personal. Not a theory, not concepts, but the real experience of mine. I have spent more than 15 years working in the tech industry, building systems, solving the problems, working on platforms that are used by lakhs, even millions of users. I have seen how technology evolves. I have seen how skills change. And I have also seen how difficult it is to be. Earlier, if you want to learn something like coding, you would read books, watch tutorials, try again and again, make mistakes, spend months just understanding the basics. And sometimes, even after all that efforts, you still felt struck. That was the reality. But today, everything has changed. Today, a student sitting in a hostel room with just a laptop and internet can do in 6 months the same project. And what earlier took us was around 4 to 5 years, right? So think about that for a second. That is not because students suddenly become smarter. So it's because tools become powerful and AI is the most powerful of them. So today's question is not, is AI useful? The real question is, are you using it properly or are you ignoring it? Because if you ignore it, the world will not wait for you. Now, let's talk about what is actually happening right now. AI is not something that will come in future. It is already here and it is already being used by students just like you. Right now, there are students who are using AI to complete assignments in minutes. I understand difficult concepts, right? So, understanding the concepts wise, the difficulty, it helps the students to understand instantly. So they can even write and debug the code, prepare for interviews, and even the students can build the full projects. And they are not doing anything magical. The students, they are simply using the tools available to them. But here is the important part: not every student is doing this. It's a big setback. Like, some students are still following the older way, and because of that, a huge gap is being created, a gap between students who adapt and the students who delay. And this gap is growing every single day. So the real danger is not AI. The real danger is being left behind, right? So the harder truth is, let me tell you something very, very honestly. Today, there are only two types of students, not based on their marks. This was categorized, not based on the college, but based on how they learn, right? The academics. So the type 1 student of the type 1, still doing everything manually, spending hours reading, struggling with the coding errors, getting stuck on small problems, and slowly losing the confidence. And the student of the type 2, using AI intelligently, learning faster, solving problems quicker, building the real projects, and gaining the confidence every day. Now imagine you are a company, you have to choose between these two students. So both have the similar marks, but one has a better skills, a better projects, and better understanding. Okay, who will you hire? The answer is very obvious, and that is exactly what it is happening today, right? So what the company wants. Okay, so let's understand something very important. Many students still believe, if I get good marks, I will get a good job. But the reality today is very different. Companies are not just looking at marks anymore, they are looking for skills, problem solving ability, real project experience, and increasingly the AI usage, because companies themselves are using AI now. So they expect you to be comfortable with it. Now, think about your resume first. If your resume only shows a marks, a basic skills, and no projects, it look like thousands of other resumes, similar students, right? So, but if your resume shows a real projects, a practical applications, right, and the AI usage, you instantly stand out. And in today's competitive world, standing out is everything, right? So just think about the power of AI. Okay, so let me help you to visualize this. Imagine you are studying a topic, something very complicated, something you don't even understand. Earlier, what you would do? Searching on Google, watch multiple videos on YouTube, still feel confused, right? Now imagine this: you go to an AI tool and you ask, say, like, explain this topic step by step, like I am a beginner. Within seconds, you get a simple explanation with examples and with even a breakdown of even a practice questions, FAQs, MCQs, all, right? And if you still don't understand, you can ask it again, and you repeat this again and again until it becomes clear to you. This is like having a personal teacher available every time without hesitation. And that's the real power of AI. AI for studying how you can utilize. Think, think about it. So let's talk specifically about studying. Most students today follow a very tiring method. They read books, they underline, they memorize, but after a few days, they forget everything. This leads to frustration, especially during exams. Now, with AI, this entire process changes. You can take a long chapter and ask AI, summarize this in a simple points, give me important concepts, create a MCQs for practice. Now, instead of passive reading, you are actively learning. When learning becomes active, retention increases. So again, you don't study harder, you study smarter. So how you use AI for coding? So now let's talk about only coding, because this is where many students struggle the most. Coding feels very difficult. Errors are confusing, and sometimes they don't even know where to start. But AI completely changes this experience. Now you can even ask AI to write the code, and you can ask AI to explain the code, or you can even ask AI to fix the errors and bugs. But here is the important point: you are not using AI to avoid coding. It's very important point. Okay, you are not using it for avoiding coding. You are using AI to understand coding better. So instead of spending 3 hours struggling on one error, you can resolve it in minutes, and the focus on learning the concepts. Okay, concepts are very important. So this is a huge advantage. So let's talk about AI for the projects. This is probably the most important part of this entire session, which is projects. So every student need this mini projects, main projects in their academics, because at the end of the day, projects are what get you jobs. You upload it in GitHub, you keep the repositories, right? So earlier students used to copy the projects, submit them, and forget them, right? But today with AI, you can actually build real projects. For example, so I'll give you a few things, like say a chatbot that answers the question, a resume that use like a resume analyzer, or a smarter application. So whatever, based on your ideas, you need to think, right? And when you build something like this, you don't just learn, you create the value. And when you show this in a interviews, it makes a huge impact. So now the current issues, the big shift. Okay, so the big shift to the towards AI. Now let's understand the biggest change which is happening in education. Earlier, the process was very slow: learn, practice, and apply. You first study, then practice it, then after a long term just apply it, right? But now the process is different. So ask AI, understand, and then build. So you start building much earlier, and because of that, your learning speed increases dramatically. And in this today's world, speed is not just an advantage. Remember this, it is necessity. Okay, so just think about the problem now. Now at this point, right? Just think. You will get the proper understanding of what is happening in the today's world, right? So how many of you are already using AI? Okay, so see this advantages. See, I have seen, like, okay, so at this point people are losing jobs and are like other things, right? But think the other side of the AI. Okay, so you might be thinking something very common. Okay, see, saying the AI is powerful, I understand that, but where do I actually start? And this is very a genuine question, because today there are so many AI tools, right? Example, chat GPT, coding assistant, co-pilots, so writing tools, research tools, and every day new tools are coming, right? So what happens? Students open YouTube, watch 10 different videos, try 5 different tools, and after some time they feel very confused. And when their confusion increases, so the action stops. So the real problem is not lack of tools. The real problem is the lack of clarity, right? So think about it. So when you are exposed to too many options, your brain does something very interesting. So it just freezes. Instead of taking action, your brain, you keep thinking, should I learn this tool or that tool? Is it a better, or that another tool is better? And slowly you stop progressing. This is called, like we can in English, overwhelm, right? And the most students don't even realize it. They think they are learning, but actually they are just consuming the content. Okay, so the biggest mistake the students make today is no structure. So they jump in from one video to another, one tool to another, but there is no direction. And without direction, even a hard work does not give results. Remember this. You might spend hours, okay, so in learning, but still feel like I'm not improving. So the issue is not effort, the issue is approach, how you approach it. The student problem, if I want to define, so let me describe a situation. See if you relate to this. You have, let's say, multiple subjects and multiple assignments pending, and you have a coding problems you don't understand, and stop, and top of that, exams are coming. So in engineering we always get, even I have written, so internals, externals, right? So semesters, right? There are so many semesters. So you feel pressure, you try to study, but nothing feels clear, and slowly the stress increases. Now, this is not because you are not capable, it is because your method is outdated. So AI as a personal tutor, think like that. Now imagine something different. Imagine you have a personal tutor, not just for one subject but for everything. So, and it is, like I said earlier, it is available 24/7, and it will never get tired, and it even never judge you, right? And always ready to explain you, no matter how many times you ask. So that is what AI becomes, right? So if you use it properly, it is not just a tool, it is like a learning partner. So the use case, let's discuss something like studying, how we can do smarter. So let's talk a practical example. You have a chapter, maybe let's say 20 pages long. Earlier you would read everything line by line, but now you can ask AI just to summarize this chapter, or give me some key points, okay, of this chapter, and create an important questions. So within minutes you get the response, so you get a structured understanding. Now instead of spending hours together, so you focus on understanding, and when understanding improves, okay, and the performance improves automatically. So let's take another use case, like saying the concept or conceptual learning, right? So another powerful use case is learning concept by concept, right? Sometimes you read something but you don't understand it, and many students hesitate to ask. But with AI, you can ask freely, you can make AI as your friend, right? So explain this like am I beginner, like a beginner, or say ask him like give me a real life examples, or you can ask AI saying like break this into the steps. And the best part is you can keep asking until it becomes clear, like I said earlier, okay. So now you don't stay stuck anymore. So so we'll take another use case of coding with AI, because coding AI is replacing the coding coders, developers, right? So for engineering students, so this is where things become very powerful. Coding is not just about writing syntax; it's about understanding the logic, and AI helps you in that. So you can write the code, understand the code, and you can even improve the code. But again, so use AI to learn, not to blindly copy. See, never copy blindly, because in this end, right, you should be able to explain what you have built, right? So the use case, right, we take for the debugging or bugs fixes, right? So let's talk about something every coding student faces, which is errors and bugs, right? So earlier when you saw an error, you felt struck, okay, walk to your mentor or professor, right? So and you were confused and sometimes even frustrated, but now you can simply ask a why is this error happening, and it tells you what went wrong and why it happened and how to fix it. And this saves the time, but more importantly it improves your understanding. Now let's take one more use case. So project building, right? So this is one of the most important applications. Like I was saying, the project explains you, right? You so building the projects, right? So because the projects are what actually show your skills. With AI, you can get the project ideas, you can plan the structure, you can build step by step. Now instead of copying, you can you are creating, and that shift changes your confidence completely, okay. So use case is less assignments and the research, right? AI can also help with assignments, it can structure your answers, improve your writing, and it can even help in research. But this is very important, don't copy it blindly, because if you copy it you may finish the assignment but you don't gain the skill. So always use AI as a support, not as a shortcut, okay. So another use case, like you can even improve the communication skills, right? Another area where students struggle is the communication, especially the engineering students. So many students feel their English is not strong, they are not confident in speaking, right? Even I don't know much English, right? So AI can help here too. You can practice the conversations, you can improve the writing and prepare the interviews. So now you are not limited by language anymore. So how to ask the AI is like, now here is something very important. Most students don't get good results from AI. So not because AI is bad, so think this, because they ask the bad questions, right? So for example, so the bad question is just say give answer, but the good question to AI is explain step by step, give examples, and keep it simple, okay. So your input decides your output. So better questions is equal to better results, okay. So I'll explain you the prompt formula, how you can use it. So this is a very simple formula you can follow: the role plus task plus content, plus output. For example, you are a teacher, explain this step by step and give examples. Now the answer becomes much easier. So instead of random questions, ask a structured questions. Okay, so let's continue. I mean, this thing. I understand the video getting big. I mean, the more minutes bigger. So I'll finish it very quickly. So now, before you get excited to starting using an AI anywhere, let me tell you something very important. So there are also mistakes that students make using AI. So if you make these mistakes, AI will not help you grow. It is actually slow you down. The first mistake is like I was saying, copying everything. So you ask AI, you get an answer, and you should not paste it. Like, yes, this work gets faster, but understanding does not improve. Okay, and the second mistake is depending on AI completely. If you stop thinking and if you stop trying, then slowly your ability of the problem solving skills decreases. So what should you do instead? Okay, so you should use AI to understand, explore and learn faster, but always think of your own, because at the end, so skills come from practice, not from copying. So this is a transformation moment. I understand now. I want you to imagine this something. If you want to use AI properly from today, not randomly but in structured way. So for learning concepts fast, practice with the guidance, build for the smaller projects. Okay. So will you be like a more students still struggling, or you will be doing someone who understands and builds and applies? So that's difference is not time. The difference is approach. Okay, so do this, your result will change automatically. Okay, so you saw how powerful the AI is. I have explained everything, right? So at this stage many students go back to the same problem, like there are many tools, no focus, right? So you don't need 10 tools. Okay, so the biggest error is like not lack of direction but with the wrong tools, right? So you start very slowly, right? So the solution, keep the things structured, pick one tool, use it for the projects. Okay, so make this practical, use it day to day. Okay, for your studies, ask for the better questions, even try for the smaller tasks, right? So do this, prepare the course yourself. You can even ask AI to prepare the course, especially for the engineering students. Okay, so this is the biggest opportunity. You start it early, even with the basic knowledge, using AI support. So helps to make the things faster, right? So remember, projects are equivalent to jobs. So build as much as projects. Okay, so you can if your resume improves your confidence and interview, you will learn better. Okay, so one thing, it's not just theory, so use it for the real world. Okay, so always. Okay, so consistency and plus direction always wins. Okay, so now everything becomes with the one decision. Either you can ignore it or you can use it now. Okay, just think, if you start using now, after 5 years, so you will become better version of yourself. So thank you so much. Okay, yeah, stay tuned with my YouTube channel. Yeah.